Good afternoon. I'm Brian Wright with the Regina and District Industry Education Council. We're here with a career spotlight today with Andrew Michalski, who's a technical service representative with Champion X Oilfield. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you for having me here.
No problem. Thanks so much for being here. Uh, Tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about where you work.
Well, I'm an engineer with Champion X. I've been down here in Estevan for almost 3 years. So I work with the sales team in the oil field, providing specialty production chemicals to the producers in the area. Um, my role is to have technical acumen, like above and beyond what is generally expected of the sales team to support them. Um, that comes with like knowing the products firsthand, how to test for them, how to select them, and essentially answer like the trickier questions that generally come up with how we use our products.
Do you work with the sales team or do you just work with customers? What does your job look like?
I work with, I'd say both. At this point, it's both. I work through the sales team with customers, and then as I develop relationships, I find customers that I directly work with on a more one-to-one basis without the sales team.
What kind of education or training did you have to get into this type of career?
The education training I have so far is I have an engineering degree from the U of R in Regina, Industrial Systems. Um, that's what I would say puts me in technical know-how. Like I read technical papers, I can do the math, that sort of thing. I've taken some courses on project management as well, just over the years. I Yeah, that's the formal schooling. The rest has been essentially just being in the workforce for the last, I guess 15 years at this point, and just learning how to work with people and solve problems uh and that, yeah, that's essentially that's how I've ended up in this position.
What are your duties? What's included in your job?
My job is ultimately project management. That would be the bulk of it. It's defining scopes of projects. It's, a customer will have, we're at this position, we're at this state right now. We want to be at a different state. So we define the scope of that project, what are outcomes, what's desirable. I lay out what resources are needed, what needs to be done, the planning, and then overseeing the execution of that plan, and tracking the execution, and then wrapping it up, essentially closing out the project. So did we achieve our targets, and then identifying that value for our customers so that we've made those that we've gone down the right path essentially to provide that value.
And by production, you mean the to increase the production of oil coming out of the ground.
Essentially, yeah. And that could be, yeah, like increasing production, it could be lowering costs, it could be, um, anything like lowering stress, like workload, essentially, reducing the amount of service required.
Do you work in the field or do you work in the office? What kind of specialized equipment do you use for your job?
I'm predominantly, like I'd say I'm in the office. I'm a field employee, um, but I primarily work in the office and in my lab. So I have a lab here in Estevan that I work out of. Um, and my truck, I've got a bit of a mobile lab that I take with me. So there's really nowhere that I can't be, but just given the skill set and what's needed of me, I'm primarily in the building here.
What is the most rewarding aspect of your job? What do you really enjoy?
I enjoy the problem solving, essentially. It's like managing those projects, defining what it is that we want to have as a suitable outcome, and hitting those targets. I often don't know where we're going to land as a solution. Um, so I really enjoy the problem solving. The other hidden element is I like working with people as well. where I find a sweet spot for me is when I get to work with the customer one-on-one and solving that problem, and you get total buy-in that way on the solutions, and you really throw a dart at the bullseye when you have the people and the problem solving coming together.
What are the challenges in your job?
The time management is what I would say, balancing all of the tasks involved. That would be largely my biggest stressor, because it's never ending. I tend to have three sets of tasks on the go. I've got the short term, the medium term, and the long term. So it's putting out the fires as they're coming in, essentially, to put it in a way, but the short term goals or short term tasks, while keeping on like the regular medium cadence, the stuff that might be due next week, that presentation that's coming up in a few weeks, making sure that those things are ongoing and always happening, while still planning for the long-term goals. So keeping those things in the hopper as needed. So it's managing the day-to-day while keeping those other things in view.
What kind of salary are we looking at as a technical services rep? Are you salaried, or are you paid an hourly wage?
Well, I'm a salaried employee, so I make about $110,000 per year. And that comes with, that's my pay. There's benefits included with that. We have, I get about 4 weeks of vacation time or holidays or time off. So it's pretty good in that regard. I think Champion X does a really good job in compensating its employees for the work that they do.
As a salaried employee, are you working 5 days a week, 6 days a week? Do you get weekends off? Do you have to be on call? What does that look like in your job?
I'm generally it's generally 8 to 5. I would say generally 8 to 5 Monday to Friday. There is an on-call rotation that we all take part in, and that's just to have uninterrupted 24-hour service for our customers. So that's considered pretty light for me. I enjoy it. I think it's a fairly reasonable thing. At the same time, having that 8-hour day does shift as a business needs as well. So there are days where you're getting up at 4 a.m. to get out to the field by 6 kind of thing, and that's just what's expected, and it's easy to accommodate and build into life. So
what are the career opportunities for this type of job? Is there lots of opportunities out there in the workforce?
I believe there are lots of opportunities. I know Champion X is one employer in the area that would have a technical services rep such as myself. Other companies that do similar work to what we do, they would have very similar positions that would do almost exactly what I do. But technical sales is a fairly common role now that companies have, to be able to support the equipment or the product that's going out into the field. Having a technical acumen to go along with some sales experience and some sales skills, there's a ton of this. I would never be worried about finding another opportunity like this. I came from the steel industry previous to this. And there's virtually no overlap. There's almost no overlap physically between the two industries, but I've been able to cross over from one to the other because I've got a certain, the technical skill set, I suppose.
Which is what employers are looking for, that adaptability. Not necessarily a direct knowledge of what field you're in, but that ability to learn and motivate yourself to learn it and master it. What does the work-life balance look like? Do you have enough time to be off and stay at home?
I think I get it. I think it's an excellent work-life balance, and in Champion X is very much a family-oriented company. So it's very much, do the work, get the work done that you need to do, and then but also make time for to spend time with your family. I've got a little one at home that she's my world, and I'll be seeing her in about an hour here to go to swimming lessons, and that's in my calendar, and that's built into my day.
If you were looking to hire someone to fill your job, what skill set would you be looking for? What specific skills would you want that employee to have?
Well, if I come at this with a belief that anyone can be taught, like taught most things in the real world. Like that's how I experience it. I mean, that's how I live my life. I came from steel. I didn't come into this role knowing much about the oil field, or even chemistry for that matter. And now I'm, supplying chemistry to the oil field. So people can learn things. So if I'm looking for a new hire, it's I want to see a capacity to learn, and I want to see a history of being able to push yourself outside your comfort zone. I think if you can do those two things, like I'll gladly put resources behind that person.
Well, Andrew, thank you very much for taking your time today to meet with me and give us some inside information on what a technical services rep does. Again, thank you very much. If you would like more information on other careers, have a look at rdiec.ca.